this rather snappy, won't you? I have some very heavy thinking to do before 10 o'clock.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Get It Right Texoma with the trio. Back once again as a trio. Mike Henry, Terry McAdams, Trey Serrano. Trey was out last time we did this.
No, it wasn't. I was out the time before.
Oh, the time. Well, yeah, the time before.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. He was uncharacteristically absent from this. But we do get together here frequently to entertain and inform you and talk to you about great local events, news around the region, around the state, around the country. We also have some great guests join us from time to time. And
he'll be here soon.
Yeah, Austin Cobb is going to join us here pretty soon. He is a Wichita Falls City Council candidate, one of several people running for a couple of different seats on the council. And so we got a really busy ticket this year on the Wichita Falls City Council. We don't usually have this many people running this often. Here, the last three election cycles has been that way, where we've had multiple vacancies and multiple new candidates showing up on the scene, which is a good thing.
Competition,
Yeah, it's absolutely good.
Yeah, it is a good thing. So Austin will join us here shortly on the program. Be sure to like us on Facebook if you would and follow us and give us your feedback on the program as well. Share us on all your social media platforms and check out our website, GetItRightTexoma.com. So we'll dive in here. We got a few things to talk about before we get to Austin Cobb this morning. Coming up on the 18th of the month, the Riverbend Nature Center is going to hold their not-so-scary Halloween. It happens from 6 to 9 p.m., and it's pretty cool. I've worked this in the past myself with them. Pretty cool little setup they do there. 6 to 9 p.m. on the 18th, $8 for the adults and $4 for the kids. And I would assume if you're probably a member of Riverbend, if you're
might get a discount.
A member's not the right word.
I think it is a membership.
Okay.
Yeah.
Probably get a little discount on that.
Might do that, but they have candy and they have crafts and arts and crafts and programs, and I think they have a costume contest and all kinds of cool stuff.
Yeah, well, I'm going to say not so scary. I guess I don't know. Snakes and spiders are still not my favorite.
Well, not mine either.
But I'm not like, oh my God, sight of them or anything. But hey, it's a great, I say cause, but it's a great event that they hold and educational and everything. So.
It is. It's one of several events they do throughout the year, and this is one of their big ones too. So usually pretty well attended. So, but again, on the 18th, 6 to 9 p.m. at Riverbend Nature Center here in Wichita Falls. Then the Kell House Museum Haunted Tours. That's going to happen on October the 26th from 6 to 10 p.m. And I don't know. You think the Kell House is really haunted?
I don't.
Probably not, but it's a very historical
It is.
house there.
It is.
It's right over there across from First Baptist Church.
Yeah.
Is where the Kell House is. I don't remember what street it's on. You could Google search it. It'll take you right to it. But
I'm sure it has creeks and if you slept in it, overnight.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
It's actually undergone a lot of renovation in the last few years. They had to do a lot of work on it because it is it's over a century old. I mean, it's an old house. So.
And I think it actually has an elevator in it, or at least it did at one time.
Yeah.
Which you got to have a pretty good sized house to have an elevator.
Yeah.
I had an aunt who used to live in. The house is gone now, but it was the house that belonged to the Schamberger family of Schamberger lumber fame.
Right.
And it had a freight elevator, and that was the scariest damn thing ever.
Oh yeah. Freight elevators are kind of creepy.
It was creepy, creaky and creepy, and all that good stuff. But anyway, that's coming up again, October the 26th. Kell House Museum Haunted Tours. As Trey said, look them up on Google or Google it or whatever. Kell House Museum here in Wichita Falls. We try to focus on a local restaurant. Do we want to go into a restaurant focus?
Why don't we do that and then we'll bring Austin in?
Okay, let's do that. Our local restaurant focus on this show is going to be Fox Hill Restaurant. This is a kind of a different sort of restaurant. They grow a lot of their own produce. Farm to fork.
Yeah, I think that's one of their things that they do.
Yes, and I know. Matter of fact, I know at one point I think wasn't John Hershey involved in that?
Oh yeah, it was his
principal owners.
It's his dream. Yeah, it's his dream.
That was kind of his thing.
Yeah,
speaking of historical houses, it's also a historical house.
It is,
and they've had two things. They've had the original build out, which was a major project that took him a lot longer to do it, and then when the big freeze in February of
21.
Was it 21?
Yes.
That freeze then took out they had a pipe burst, and
Yes.
so I helped them.
And I don't know what house it was. I don't know which.
I don't know either.
Which family, prominent family, but it was obviously a prominent
Yeah.
family in Wichita Falls because it is a massive house.
Well, then the whole land
right.
is there.
Yeah, it's right. It's not only a massive house; it's a large piece of property to be inside of a city.
Yeah, it's got to be 2 or 3 acres anyway, probably.
Oh,
maybe more.
It's bigger than my foreign. I think it's bigger than that. I think it's probably 5 or 6 acres. Or
Really?
bigger.
I believe
yeah.
so,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
But they grow a lot of their stuff on site.
Right.
And they have the whole bit. I mean, I've done a lot of work there. Helping them get back open.
But they're located on Kemp Boulevard here in Wichita Falls, just about a block off of Seymour Highway / 5th Street.
Can't miss the big house.
Yeah, they're not on the main.
Yeah.
They're not on the part of Kemp that you think about when you think about commercial
Right,
and stuff.
right.
They're the older part of Kemp that was the residential part, the original part.
Yes. Yeah. So,
but they have an interesting menu, all
do.
customized. I mean, it's really good.
It's very high
gosh.
end. When you're looking for like Michelin type food as far as stars.
Michelin, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, not the tires.
Yeah.
Talking about the rating.
Yes.
But high end. It is very high end food.
Yes.
Here in Wichita Falls, chef prepared, chef designed,
slightly
and that
different
sort
Michelin.
Yes.
Yes. Fox Hill Restaurant. You'll check them out. Very interesting place indeed. I don't know if you need a reservation.
You don't have to, but it's
I
not
don't
a
know.
bad idea.
It probably doesn't hurt because I know there's times that they get awful busy.
Yeah. So calling ahead probably wouldn't be a bad idea. I don't have their phone number here, but Fox Hill Restaurant,
I'm
Wichita
sure
Falls.
You can look it up.
Yeah, you can find it easy enough. But anyway, we do have a special guest coming up here in just a few moments. Austin Cobb is going to join us, a Wichita Falls City Council candidate. Will join us here on Get It Right Texoma. More coming up. Stick around. Hey guys, welcome back to Get It Right Texoma with the trio, Mike, Trey, and Terry, and our very special guest with us, as promised, is Austin Cobb. He is a candidate for Wichita Falls City Council. You're right, is it the at-large position?
At-large, yes,
At-large
sir.
position.
Citywide.
Yeah, so at-large, you represent everybody.
Everybody. Yes, sir.
You get to hear complaints from everybody.
Every single person.
You listen to them from everybody.
Everybody. Yeah.
I will tell you though, it doesn't really matter who you quote unquote represent.
I know,
when you're
I
on
know.
something like that, anybody can call you from anywhere. But the biggest difference is
Right.
you are running for, instead of your constituency voting for you is not just a small group; it is the entire voting population. Which
That's correct. Yeah. Citywide, at-large. So anybody that can vote for mayor also votes for the at-large spot as well. So yeah, everyone in Wichita Falls gets to vote for 3 representatives: the at-large, the mayor, and then their district rep as well.
It's an interesting thing. We were talking about this earlier, and we've talked about this a couple times on the show. How, in years past, somebody would run for city council, and they would basically serve until they got tired of it.
Yeah.
or until they termed out.
Or until
they actually have a term limits in city
Well,
council,
yeah, but it hasn't always been that way.
right.
25 years ago, there were no term limits, and so you could just run in perpetuity. And that would happen a lot. Somebody would get on the council or, whatever, and just stay there until they got tired of it or until,
Or they'd pop around, and then they'd run for at-large or they'd run for their district seat as well.
yeah,
Stay on city
move
council.
around. Yeah. But it's different now. We seem to have more people like yourself getting interested in and getting involved in local government and taking part in it, which I think is huge. We have to have that. We gotta get more people involved.
We do.
What spurred you to decide to jump into this to become a candidate?
We moved back during 2020 during COVID. I was born here, graduated here from Old Hyde Midwestern.
Yeah.
I've been in oil and gas my entire life, and we moved back. And my family had been involved in the community for years. My grandfather, Howard Morris, was on council in the 80s. My grandmother started the Heritage Society 40 plus years ago.
Yeah.
And I just from an early age, I'd been involved. And so as soon as I moved back, I got asked to serve on a couple boards and just kind of fell into it, really.
Yeah.
How do I give back to the city? How can I make the biggest difference? And then, Councilman Whiteley is termed out. And so I threw my hat in the race, and we decided to do this in November of last year. We filed in December, and we've been going 100 miles an hour ever since. And, I think the city is ripe for a newer, younger crowd to kind of come in here and kind of take the reins a little bit. I'm getting close to 40, and it doesn't feel that way. Sometimes I've got these 2 kids, and I'm like, man, I look at my wife and go, they really sent them home with us from the hospital. You know, they trust us with lives, you know. So life comes at you fast. But, you know, this city, you know, I think is on the verge of some really great things. And, you know, I want to be a part of that change and growth of Wichita Falls.
Well, there's, of course, a huge change coming in because there will be a new city manager.
That is correct.
We know that for a fact because right now there's an interim city manager, and he is not running or in contention for the position.
That's correct.
So there will be a new city manager that will come in, which will, you know, for everybody who's not aware, the city of Wichita Falls, the way the system works, the city manager runs the city. The mayor running the city. The mayor really doesn't run the city. The city council doesn't run the city. They have an employee who's the city manager, and the city manager runs the city.
Yeah, he's essentially the CEO of the city.
Exactly.
Yeah, that is what
with
the
a
city
board,
is.
with a board of directors.
With a board of directors,
and
which is the
how it
council.
works.
Yes. Yeah, that's a big hire. This is why this election is so important, because we have to get this right. And I think we can sit here and talk about previous city managers, you know, and what he did or what he didn't do. But I think the focus now needs to be on our future.
Yeah, it really doesn't matter.
We have to get this right. I mean, we have to. You know, we've got new leadership at Midwestern, the Shepherd Air Force Base. You know, we've got a new superintendent. We have to get, you know, this city manager hire right.
Well, and I think expectations have got to be met. I think the city council that hires this next city manager, there have got to be some expectations set for the next city manager that, you know, we're tired of being stagnant. Mm-hmm. I think as a community, we're tired of being stagnant. We're tired of not seeing industry be able to flourish here the way we feel like it should. I think we got, when you look at the land available, when you look at all of the space available, when you look at the opportunities that should be here, there are things that we're not taking advantage of. I think there are things we're not exploiting in ourselves that we need to be.
Oh, I agree, and you're right. You hit the nail on the head with city management. There has to be expectations set, and it has to be in black and white. Like this is what, you know, you need to do X, Y, Z. You know, we have to get that right. And you talk about all this opportunity. I think the biggest problem with Wichita Falls in the past is we didn't sell ourselves. You know, we were working, you know, chamber in the past, school system. We're all kind of doing our own thing. We can't afford to do that. We have to work together. We have to go find these businesses that will be a good fit to Wichita Falls. We have to go out and go get them and make them come to Wichita Falls.
I did radio for 22 years. These guys sat in with me for years and years on the air, so they can testify that I've been a proponent of that for years now.
I know.
And you can't, one or two people can't do all the work. It takes a big team effort to drive a city and to promote a city. And you got to have people working together. And I've been preaching that for years now, that we don't sell ourselves properly.
We do not.
One of the things, Austin, I'll tell you, it's kind of stuck in my craw for a while. We've got this big, beautiful university over here, Midwestern State University. This big, beautiful island that sits in the middle of our city, and people cannot drive through our city and tell that that's there.
Get on board with my sign idea.
What's your sign idea?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we can talk about it. I've talked about it before. I don't want to waste your time on it, but I'll talk to you about it in a little bit.
Yeah. But we, you know, that's an opportunity.
It is getting some traction.
Good.
That's a relationship that we could exploit to each other's benefit.
Absolutely.
We can both win from that.
We have to work together to, you know, enhance our town. I mean, go in different directions isn't going to work anymore. Because it hadn't worked for the last 20, 30, 40 years. No. So we have got to have a sharp spear, work together. And I think everybody, you know, President Haney's great. New chamber president's great. New general's great. Donnie's great. You know, we've got the pieces in place. That's why that city manager hire is so important, because he's got to be the last piece of the puzzle.
All right, so I'm assuming the city council currently is holding off until the new city council takes office, right?
I don't know that for sure. But,
I think they're looking at the search. Part is it's a long search.
Right.
You know?
It's going to be a long search for the city manager.
Yeah, you don't put an ad to Times Record
so
News.
What is it?
I'm not sure that they will. They will probably name a permanent interim city manager before the election.
Yeah.
But not. I don't. The replacement's going to take too long.
So you'll be, if you win, then you would be on that city council that would hire them. So what important things do you have on that, as far as what would you like to see in a city manager?
Well, I would like to see, first and foremost, I want somebody from the outside with a proven track record of growth, stability, and customer service to the people, because I think city management in the past has gotten away from the customer service business, and that's what they are.
Yes,
you know,
there you go.
City management is supposed to work for the citizens of Wichita Falls. You know, you call up there, you want a friendly face, a friendly voice, and how can I help you? You know, we got away from that. as far as what, city manager search, I would like to see a group put together, a committee, not just of council members, but, business leaders as well. And, somebody from the outside is first and foremost goal.
Right. Well, then on that customer service idea, though, I'm going to, even though I don't get to vote, I live in Clay County, so I can't vote, but I'm a taxpayer because I own a business here.
Absolutely.
So I'm throwing my hat in. I'm a hat, but my suggestion is that that somehow that y'all in the job description, the requirement of the city manager to be measured on. One component should be something about customer service, as far as customer satisfaction or something should be a part of their overall measure.
Yeah.
If it's not measured,
Right.
nobody will do it.
Customer service, and I'm going to add another one in there that I think is accountability. We have to have a city manager that is accountable.
Amen.
When I mean accountable, I mean the people that are working underneath him. He has to have some kind of accountability and hold people accountable for jobs they do or they don't do.
Well, the good news is I believe that the city of Wichita Falls will be able to attract a good candidate because of the size. I mean, and with somebody with a proven track record, because there are going to be people. Wichita Falls, and I've said this before, I know it's this way in the school system, and I think it's the same way in the city council, or it would be if we ever changed city managers, it's a stepping stone place.
Correct.
If you aspire to be a city manager, you probably at some point want to get the Fort Worth, the Dallas, the Houston, the Austin, the San Antonio, whatever. But you can't go from Petrolia, Texas to that.
No, absolutely
you have
not.
to go somewhere to a San Angelo, a Tyler, a Wichita Falls, an Abilene,
Yes.
or something like that. So the good news is we do pay well enough, and there is a big enough challenge right here that we should be able to find somebody who has a proven track record in a little bit smaller market and bring them in here
Right.
to
I
make
have
a change
no
here.
doubt we'll attract some really good talent. I mean, you said that, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, a city like Wichita Falls, a city manager should probably be replaced about every 3 to 5 years because we're losing him to a better job because he's come in, he's done an excellent job, and you're right. He's looking for the next, big city to go to.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Well, the only employee that the city council gets to hire or fire is the city manager.
That's right.
That's the only person that works directly for the council and at the pleasure of the council
Right.
is
And
the city
clerk.
manager.
And the city clerk.
Well, the city clerk.
Yeah, those are the two.
Yeah. But the city manager is basically the CEO of the community of the city government. The city manager, the council may control the purse strings, but the city manager is the one who's delegating and allocating a whole lot of resources.
They act like you said. They run the city. A city council member cannot go to a secretary in somebody's office and give them directions, or a police officer and give them directions. They can't do that. No. They have to go through the chain of command, and it starts with the way
You can
it's set up.
coordinate. You can help and point
make
him in the right
suggestions.
direction.
They
That
will-
kind of stuff.
Here's what I always said: you're not going to give the directions. The city manager, whoever's in charge, will take your call.
Right.
So you do have some influence, but a city councilor should never try to direct a city employee to do anything.
No.
And should not be able to direct, and they are not able to, and they should never try to.
Right.
So give us really kind of your top 3 platform things that you have on your agenda. Like, give us kind of a little bit of rundown of your platform.
Yeah, we kind of touched on it earlier. Growth. We kind of came up with the term responsible growth. My wife and I did because I think everyone in Wichita Falls wants to grow, but we don't really want Wichita Falls to lose what makes it great. But we can do both. I always throw the term out. If we grow by 10%, that's 10,000 people. That is 100%.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. That's
even 1% we've talked about.
Right.
1,000 people a
Right.
year would be a significant increase.
But if we grew by
in what we
10%
have.
over the next 5 years, that's not a drastic change to our way of life.
No.
And we can go out and get some businesses, industry. I talked about it, working together, bringing in industries, that pay $80,000 to $90,000 a year. That's what we need. Our tax burden falls higher on our residents than it does industry. We're one of the only cities in Texas that actually occurs. So we've got to do that to increase our revenue. And then safe and secure city. We're going to have an initiative on the ballot with the firefighters. I think anytime something goes to the voters, I'm for letting the voters hear their voice instead of a council, delegating something of that big responsibility. But they need to be trained right. They need to have the proper funding. We're losing retention left and right. Safe and secure city, water security. We've talked about Lake Ringgold before when I was on the show, but we need to continue on that path of Lake Ringgold as we're sitting here today. But technology changes, fast. it's going to be a 10-year process. I'm very familiar with 404 permits, but being on the Lake Wichita board and how long that process takes. So we may or may not need to build it, but we own 100% of those rights. So if we don't need it, we could sell it. If it's going to cost $500 million to build, it's probably worth at least that. What could that do for a city of our size?
Right.
Putting that in the bank. And then thirdly, more partnerships with Shepherd and downtown and Midwestern, and things like the Career Education Center. Keeping our young people here. I'm a perfect example of it. Graduated here, raised my, I am who I am today because of Wichita Falls, but then I left because there wasn't enough opportunity. We've got to, cut that flow off of young people leaving our city, have, opportunities in education and, industry where they can actually make a living, a good living, and then live here and raise their family here. I'm invested in it. I've got a 7 and 6-year-old, or about to be 6-year-old. I don't want my kids to leave, but, we have to give them opportunities to stay here.
Yeah, we do. And the industry side of it, one of the things, I think we may have touched on this with the chamber president the last time he was here with us, is one of our challenges right now, I think, industry-wise, is we don't have a lot of vacant buildings.
No.
We don't have big, massive 150,000 plus square foot facilities to put a big warehouse in. Right now, if you want to come to Wichita Falls and you want to bring a big warehouse or manufacturing production type business here, you're going to have to build something.
Right.
The good news is we have a lot of land.
We have a lot of land.
Of land.
That's our big selling point. Is there's land out there that's undeveloped, that's not being basically someone's just paying taxes on it.
Right.
It's not being used for anything. There's opportunities there for a company to purchase some land and build a new facility.
Right.
I know we've been hearing rumors about some kind of new warehouse, something coming to Wichita Falls, and there have been rumors it might be an Amazon project.
Right.
I don't think anything official as of this program has been announced yet.
Not yet.
But there's something forthcoming.
Yeah. But all it takes is 3 or 4 businesses to come in and build a warehouse, and then people start seeing momentum, and then you'll see a real estate developer come in and go, "There's a really cheap piece of land. Let's build a warehouse to lease out."
Well, a lot of folks,
you see it in Dallas Fort Worth. There'll just be a field. They just build this empty warehouse, and then 8 months later you drive by it, it's full.
Driving 380 between Denton and Decatur.
Oh.
Like when you hit Decatur, go to Denton.
Yeah.
Used to, there was nothing between Denton and Decatur. Right. Now, as you get outside of Denton towards Decatur there, I guess it's on the west side of Denton, you're having these warehouses and industrial parks that are being built like crazy.
Yeah, I'm in the real estate business, and I'm working with a client right now that this is the basically second generation of their family that's relocating to Wichita Falls from the Denton area. That's where they live right now, and they're moving up here. I've sold the lady's sister and her husband a house. Mom and dad have moved up here. Now the sister and her husband, the other sister and her husband are moving here. They're getting away from the overcrowded nature of the Denton, Dallas, Fort Worth area and coming here. Yeah. And they're finding opportunities here that are bringing them here. They're going to allow them to make. They're young. They're in their 40s, as you are, or about to be. Yeah. And so almost. Yeah. We're all over 50, so but they're finding opportunities here, and I think the more opportunities we can grow here, like we were saying, if we could grow our population by 1% a year,
that's 1,000 people.
That would be incredible. 1,000 people a year over a 10-year period, 10,000 people. That really explodes our tax base, doesn't it? It really helps us incredibly, doesn't it?
Absolutely, and we have to grow our tax base.
Absolutely.
Wichita Falls is an aging town, and in the next, this is why the next 5 years I believe are the most critical for the future of our city. We have to grow. Because our population is getting older, a lot of these tax rates will be frozen. And the only option, if you do not grow, cost of everything continues to go up.
Exactly.
Taxes will have to go up to basically meet the minimum standard of what we have today.
5 years ago, we were talking about the only demographic in the community growing being 55 plus.
Right. Mm-hmm.
This was 5-6 years ago we were talking about this. Well, that hasn't changed in 5 or 6 years. It's still the fastest growing demographic here, but we got to turn a corner, and we got to turn a corner.
Well, the good news on that, a little bit of that is that I think in some ways that the older population is still young enough that a lot of them like to work. They're not all retarees.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And
that's
so
a good
there's
point.
a lot of that opportunity to there. But, but if we're doing remote work, that's just, that's great.
Right.
But it would be we'd rather have somebody who's a local business-wise that works for somebody local.
You're saying
But also,
60's
like
the
Austin
new.
said, though, your tax base gets frozen.
Yeah,
Right, exactly.
it does.
Yeah,
it
and
does.
that's where you run into an
But you're
issue.
saying 60's the new 40, right?
Right, there you go.
You should be able to work till you're 100.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey,
That's my plan. I'm going to work till I'm dead, and then for about 2 months after that.
Got to pay all the bills.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, most of them.
It's going to cost money to put you in the ground. So
How long
Most
can I
of
collect that Social Security
yeah,
check?
there you go. Well, is there anything else, Austin, that as we wrap up here that you want
Yeah.
to like to pitch out there?
No,
And-
thanks for having me, guys. Early voting starts October 21st, so it's here. January we launched officially, so we've been running ever since then, and it got here quick. But yeah, early voting starts October 21st. You can check me out on my Facebook page, my website, cobbforwf.com. It's got my cell phone number on it, email. Happy to reach out, answer any questions anybody might have. But thank you guys again for having me.
And do you know where the early voting sites are going to be?
One's the courthouse, one is JCPenney, and then I think the community health center on the east side.
JC Penny?
JCPenney Court.
Yeah, and then also during, haven't they changed things that during voting day you can vote anywhere at one of the?
Yes,
Right.
you can. That was changed
Yeah.
a few cycles ago.
Right.
You don't have to go to your precinct anymore. You
Yeah.
can go to any voting.
So if you
site.
live on one side of town but you work across the other side of
Yep,
town,
you can vote
It's a
anywhere.
lot easier to do, which I think is a good idea.
And then voting day on November 5th, I think there's 15 or 16 different locations, but the city of Wichita Falls has all those locations printed.
Yep. All right. Austin Cobb, candidate for Wichita Falls City Council at large. And again, your website.
cobbforwf.com.
All right. Terrific. Austin, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Guys, we'll be back and wrap it up here on Get It Right Texoma very shortly. Stay tuned. Hey, welcome back to Get It Right Texoma with the trio, Mike, Terry, and Trey. Back in the saddle again. Welcome back. Well, thank Austin Cobb for being our guest today. Great guy, and I think any of the guys, any of the folks that are running right now are gonna do a great job.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Any
There's
of them
some good
are.
people.
I think we got some new blood coming on board on the city council in Wichita Falls. And I think it's going to help tremendously. I think it already has, but I think we've got some more great things coming. Let's move into a couple of stories here. We talked a little bit about MSU with Austin. MSU's enrollment is on the rise for the first time in 6 long years. First time out of high school, full-time students, the largest fall cohort in history.
Yeah.
Enrollment up 17% since the fall of 2023, now at 5,324.
So it's the largest starting freshman class in the history of MSU.
That's pretty incredible. And again, I just there's long been this disconnect between the city, the community, and MSU, and a lot of college towns you drive through, and you'll see evidence.
Oh, we've talked about ad nauseum.
Yeah.
Look, you can go to Tarleton, go to Stephenville.
Oh yeah,
Which is not that far away and not nearly as large as Wichita Falls. And Tarleton, Stephenville's a college town.
Yep.
Tarleton State stuff everywhere. I mean, you go to of course, I spent a lot of time in College Station because my kids went there. Everywhere you go that's insane. But listen, but yeah, Denton, North Texas State University is really big there. But Stephenville's a great example of a town that's a quarter the size of Wichita Falls, probably has a university about the same size as Midwestern State University.
Yeah.
But you drive all over and you see Tarleton State hats, bumper stickers.
Yeah.
You go into a grocery store and half the people in there have something on that says Tarleton State University.
Yep, sure do. So it ought to be that way here. It really should be, and I think it can be. But this is promising. See their enrollment up like that, and I'd like to dig into that a little deeper and find out some more of the particulars on that, what they think has led to that.
Well, Dr. Haney's going to be on with us she's our next guest, the Thursday. Dr. Haney's going to be on with us Thursday.
Should be okay. All right. So coming up here probably in a week, you'll get to see that interview with her for sure.
And by the way, real quick, let me pitch it out here since we're talking about Midwestern State. We talked about it, and I do not have the day, the 18th. The Alumni Association has a fish fry, the homecoming fish fry.
Yep.
It's going to be on Friday night. It's going to be at the Student Activity Center And Redneck Culinary Academy is doing the fish fry there for the Alumni Association, but everybody's welcome.
Which means it's going to be good food.
That's right.
For sure. Real quick here. Trump returned to Butler. That's where he was. The assassination attempt was on his life, and he was back there.
The other assassination, the first assassination attempt.
The first
The one that
attempt.
there actually was probably closer because there really were shots gotten off. Fired.
Yeah, and he was.
And he did get shot.
He did. He turned his head
Just
significantly at the right second. Yeah.
I don't know if y'all saw when he first got to the stage, he was, as I was saying, and he turned and he did a great job. And he pointed out, I love that chart. I love that chart. He's funny. It was very good. It was comical. It showed, people showed a lot of guts. Yeah, maybe. I mean, the fact is, you knew, it's kind of like flying after 9/11. People, you're going to fly? I'm like, yeah, I'm going to fly. It'll never be safer. They're going to have so many people out there, and it was. But it did take a lot of guts because being shot at is very significant, and being shot is probably even more significant. Yeah.
Well, you think about how that would affect most people psychologically.
Exactly. Yeah.
How the average person would be affected by that. And this guy, you don't get much more high profile than a guy who has been president and is now running for president again.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't get much more high profile.
Well, he's been beat up and everything. He's got not Teflon necessarily, but he's certainly.
Oh, he's battle tested for sure.
It's just, he's like, look, this is just another, hey, whatever.
Yeah. But anyway, election we're, as of the recording of this episode, we're just under 1 month away.
I'm ready to get this done. I'm really ready for this election to get here and get done.
Does it feel like this has just gone on and on forever?
My goodness, it is. Well, it has. I mean, it kind of has because you knew Trump was going to be the candidate well before the Republican convention. Joe Biden was the candidate well before the Democrat convention, and then it changed.
And then he's not.
Yeah. So Harris, now Kamala Harris all of a sudden is going on all these podcasts. She's giving interviews all of a sudden. So we'll see if her strategy makes sense. The one thing I will say that was pretty sad the other day, her teleprompter went out.
I know.
Which I understand.
I heard about
it happens with politicians. I watched it. She locked up. And that's sad because she was talking about what she believes on policy.
Oh, yeah.
And to me, it's one of those deals. If your teleprompter locked up and you're trying to give statistics and facts and that sort of thing, that may be a different story because you may not have all that committed to memory. Right. But surely you could talk about what you think about what you believe.
You should be able to talk off the cuff about that.
About what you believe in.
Anytime.
She's an attorney.
Yes.
She was a prosecutor. Does she not have the ability to ad lib? And I mean, that's what you learn.
She said 36 days or 32 days or whatever. She said that about 18 times and just kept saying it over and over. It's like going, lady, talk about something you believe in.
Surely you can.
The whole word salad thing has gotten really tiresome. It really has. It really has. I guess we better wrap it up here, guys. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Get It Right Texoma. Brought to you by the way, Eddie Hills Fun Cycles, 401 North Scott, downtown Wichita Falls, EddieHillsFunCycles.com. MacTech Solutions at 4020 Ray Road, Suite 3B in Wichita Falls, MacTech-Solutions.com. And Lolly and Pop's Sweet Shop, online at lpsweet.com and on Facebook, Lolly and Pop's Sweet Shop. Lolly spelled Lollie, by the way. So thank you for joining us. Be sure to share this on your social media platforms. Be sure to like and share our Facebook page. Give us your feedback. And check out our website, GetItRightTexoma.com. Take care. Till next time, see you down the road.